I'm Chris Williams from Cyclone Fanatic and a proud Iowa State graduate from the class of 2007. No one shows up like Iowa State fans. And Cyclones support Cyclones on and off the field. Your gift can provide scholarships to students, fund groundbreaking research. We could even drum up opportunities for the marching band. Visit MoveWhatMatters.com to learn how you can make an impact today.
Cyclone Nation, what better way to kick off the 2025 college football season than cheering on your Cyclones in the Aer Lingus College Football Classic in Dublin, Ireland? Whether it's a quick trip to Dublin for the game, a multi-city adventure throughout the Irish countryside, or premium game day hospitality, there is a package for you. Visit Cyclones2Ireland.com for information on official travel and hospitality packages. That's Cyclones, the number 2, Ireland.com.
Welcome in to what's
We're
the
still
show
live, man.
called?
Still live. We're still
What's
here.
the show called? Is it
Kicking It.
Kicking It?
Talk to a podcast.
Oh, too soon. This is Kicking It. I'm Jeff Woody. We still are alive. Took some time off. Going to be better versions of ourselves. Always constantly improving.
Just quick sabbatical.
I'm Jeff Woody here with Grant Mahoney, Aiden Wyatt's behind the boards. We're brought to you by Kelderman Manufacturing, Kelderman.com. That Circle K logo, if you see that, that means quality with a K. Kwality, quality. They should trademark that. Kelderman quality. Kelderman quality.
But then they got to have like a koala somewhere.
A quality.
Quality.
The Kelderman quality koala.
Off
And then
track
it's just-
already.
It is
We're off track
just
already.
a little K koala. Anyway, it's been a few weeks since we last hooked up with you, dear listener. We are kind of in the process of lining up guests for our spring and summer that we normally do, and getting interviews. There's going to be some fun ones. In the meantime, though, stuff that we haven't really talked about, and because we've been off for a bit, we kind of have the benefit of perspective because there's not really you're not like Chris and Brent. They do a show twice a week, so you're talking about what just happened. So we can kind of this one will be stepping back just a little bit from when we last were here, and also sort of like up until now, until kind of the end of the year. We'll be back before the end of the year.
Hold on, Jeff. I got to stop you right there. The last time we were on, we talked about Kansas State and how we were so confident that Iowa State was going to win, and they got absolutely shellacked.
It's been a while.
I'll put that one on me, guys. Sorry about that.
We all did it. Even Fitz did it. That's not just you.
Fitz did do it. Fitz was very, he had no confidence Kansas State was going to win. He thought they were going to lose by double digits, in fact, he said, and they about won by 20.
Yeah, well, and they turned around and they beat Iowa State, they beat Kansas, and they beat Arizona.
Yes.
So,
everybody was in their way.
And now
they lost 6 in a row, then they won 6 in a row, and then they just lost to BYU, and they're probably going to lose to Utah tonight.
And who knows?
Yeah.
It's a wild topsy-turvy.
Yeah. 77-74 they're going to lose.
We're going to get to basketball here in a second, but one thing since we last were on, the Super Bowl happened. And if you've listened to the show, you know that I think both of us, I would say, are pretty anti-Chiefs, at least at this point. And this might be dated, but when you were watching the Super Bowl, what was your reaction to what was going on?
Man. We were at a friend's house in Boone, and my wife was like, "You want to
go Tory Doors.
You want to what?
Go Tory Doors. It's a Boone mascot. My wife went to Boone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Go Doors.
I was thinking the Boone, because they have like a community college there. Didn't know about it.
Yeah. DMAC.
What?
That's a DMAC.
Oh,
yeah.
they have
it's just a DMAC. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, because they're like their softball.
Yeah, that's where baseball and softball are.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
Just DMACs all over.
Yeah.
Des Moines area. I guess
The area of I think it's one in Oskaloosa too.
That's not Des Moines area.
It's relative to the world.
Sure. So my wife asked me, she goes, "Do you want to leave early?" I said, "No, but this is glorious. Like this is this game is boring, but it's also not. It's very great to see the Chiefs getting demolished, as much as they did, and Harrison Butker only kicking once. it was a great game.
It was, what was funny is, so we were in Georgia for that. We went down to visit my wife's aunt and uncle lived down there, and I got to golf 2 full 18s and 1 9-hole.
I think that I have you on 18 birdies and said Jeff Woody's playing around. I said, where the hell is Jeff playing around at?
Yeah, it's in Georgia. The first round, we'll get to Super Bowl in a second. First round is like a medium difficulty course where you can miss, which is like first round of the year. You could miss, so like you're a fairway over.
You're considering this first round, not this is the new season, not the end of the.
Well, yeah, this is the start of the 2025 golf year.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I did simulator stuff, but like first outdoor round of the year of 2025. Anyway, first round outside, played in a wide open, shot a 90, felt good about that. Then played sort of like a practice round of a medium hard course, and then one at a really freaking hard course, which I would not recommend for your like second round of the year. And it was 50 and drizzly, and I shot a 102.
Is that at Augusta?
I wasn't at Augusta.
Oh, sure.
But I lost 6 golf balls,
That's not too bad.
which when you score it, because her uncle is really good. He's like, hey, at one point in his life was scratched. Now he's like a 6 or an 8. Actually applies like if you can see it and it's out of bounds, normally I'll just hit that. Like technically speaking, that's a penalty, and you have to go back to wherever you shot it from and shoot it again, unless you just want to take the ball, put it back in, and then it's 2 strokes. And like I was being held to that, I couldn't hit a ball that was out of bounds. So
You're
like
not playing
whatever.
for money, you're not-
Anyway, we're down in Georgia and we're watching that, and I was talking with my wife's uncle Bill, and before the game even started, he goes, "So what do you hope happens?" And I was like, "You know what? I hope the Eagles win 44-10, and Mahomes throws 4 interceptions, and it's out of control." And Uncle Bill, wife's Uncle Bill went to Iowa, graduated from Iowa, and he's like, "Well, I hope DeJean gets, he's getting a couple interceptions." And I was like, "Well, okay, well, Cooper gets 2 of those interceptions." And I was just joking. I was like, that's
Did
not
you
going to
guys go out and
happen.
buy a lottery ticket?
That is almost exactly what happened. And it was fun to watch, not because like I absolutely hate the Chiefs. It's more of a shtick that I hate the Chiefs than I actually really hate the Chiefs. But the thing, like the statistics nerd in me, is that the Chiefs have gotten away with something that they shouldn't get away with for a very, very, very long time. They've won 15 straight 1-score games. And you win 15 straight 1-score games, like revert to the mean. Like you're not going to get away with that all the time. So like all of the breaks that they got, whether it's a call here or a field goal there, a blocked field goal here, or a bad spot against the Bills here, or whatever those things are, all of those things break your way. At some point, they're going to break the other way. So like that is just the reversion to the mean that happened in things like Travis Kelce dropping passes. Like he's normally not going to drop those passes. Not making tackles on, whether it's a wide receiver or whatever. You're not going to do that all the time. But then all those bad things happened, and then it kind of started a snowball. So it was wild to watch the Chiefs get outplayed and outcoached. And it was so interesting to watch that. Like, it'd be sort of like watching Michael Jordan just get beaten one-on-one, and you're like, what the hell is this? Where did this come from?
I'm in a group text with 4 of the guys, and throughout the playoffs, we've done 5-leg parlays where each one of us picks, something will happen in the games, and then we put a parlay together. And I was like, you guys want to do one for the Super Bowl? Like maybe one like realistic one, the one that's like maybe a little more less realistic. And they're like, well, let's just do one that's realistic. I said, okay. One of my buddies who's an Iowa fan goes, I'm gonna do Cooper DeJean for a touchdown. And I said realistic. Like we're not doing that. And that was the only one of the legs that hit. Because it was like Saquon Barkley touchdown. Nope. Patrick Mahomes, certain amount of yardage. Nope. And sure enough, Cooper DeJean touchdown.
Cooper
was
DeJean touchdown.
The only one that hit.
So we wanted to get AJ Klein on to talk like about get his perspective on the defense of what the Eagles was doing, but he bought a farm this past year and he's out farm choring. So we'll get him at some point. But the thing that what I was looking at is what the Chiefs, I mentioned before the Super Bowl, like way back before the Super Bowl actually happened, the thing that I was saying is that the Chiefs are the best fastball hitters in football, in that what you do really well, you're not going to be able to do. Well, the Eagles, on the flip side of that, were like the ace that you can't hit a fastball off of. So their pass rush they were scheming the Chiefs offensive line into one-on-ones with whatever their left tackle's name is. The guy he was their guard, and then they fired two left tackles, and they finally moved him out. He was a third left tackle of the year, and his normal position is guard.
Didn't know that.
So Creed Humphrey's their center. He played at Oklahoma, and then Trey Smith is their right guard, and this guy was their left guard. And they finally said, "Look, hey, we need somebody who can do this job." And they moved him out to left guard, moved him out to left tackle, brought in a left guard. They did that for the last 5 or 6 games of the year. Well, the difference is when you're playing guard, the space that you're operating in is much tighter. You can't take a 7-yard pass drop because you run right into the quarterback. So you have to kind of stop. Well, the center is, an arm's length away from you, and the tackle usually is maybe 2 arms lengths away from you. So you have bumper lanes on either side. So the amount of space that you're operating in is much smaller. So it's a much more bench press, much less kind of vertical jump style. If you're talking about what things are required. So they move him out to left tackle, and that's not his natural position. He's only been doing it a few times, but that's not where his strength is. So what the Eagles did, is they took their 2 really good defensive tackles, and they always, in passing downs, lined up the one to the offensive left side or the defensive right side. They lined that defensive tackle up on the outside shoulder of the guard, or head up with the guard. And they told that defensive tackle to get into the Chiefs' left guard, again, this new guy, get into his outside shoulder, and then just hold him where he is. You're not trying to get a sack. You're just trying to hold him where he is and maybe push him back into Mahomes' lap. And what that means is that this left tackle, who's not super comfortable with the position, has no one to his right because the defensive tackle, the Eagles, occupied all that space. Well, now there's 4 yards to the offensive tackle's right, and there's unlimited amount of space to the offensive tackle's left. So he is just one-on-one out in space. And I don't know if you're going to go to the right, to the left, right through me. And so what the Eagles did is they put their best pass rusher on that guy. They put a defensive tackle on the right guard or in the left guard of the Chiefs and told him to rush to his outside shoulder. And they did that the whole game.
It worked well.
And it worked really well. They blitzed, I think, 2 times, and they got 6 sacks on Mahomes. But the thing that was more impressive to me than the overall scheme is that there was no adjustment that the Chiefs made to do anything about it. Yeah. That was the thing that I kept looking at is that on at least when the Eagles were on defense and the Chiefs were on offense, the Eagles front 4 is murdering your offensive line. Really just by doing that. It's we're going to get you one-on-one. We're going to take our best pass rusher, get him one-on-one with your guy in space, deal with it. And you know how you fix that problem? You put another guy over there. You know who the other guy is? Travis Kelce. Now, it's not ideal to take 87 out of your route tree, but you know what's better? Letting Mahomes actually throw the ball. So it didn't until
keeping him alive.
It wasn't until the middle of the 3rd quarter where they finally kept Kelce in to help in pass protection. And then at that point, the game was over. It didn't matter. They were down by 31 points or whatever it was, and they finally scored some garbage time touchdowns. But the Chiefs never addressed it because they wanted to keep Kelce out in the route. And then you have to take a running back or a tight end, or hell, do what the Lions do and bring an extra offensive lineman in there. Bring 6 offensive linemen there. Take a receiver off the board and just have him protect because you can't. And they just never adjusted.
And that's what they should have done. They should have brought in another offensive lineman, or at the very least, someone else in the backfield.
Just another person.
Yeah, have maybe not Kareem Hunt, but have someone, P. Ryan maybe, a bigger back who can beat a Mahomes left and just kind of clean up anything or slow down someone, for God's sakes. I thought when I saw 2 days before the Super Bowl and it said Jordan Davis and other players on the Eagles are coming down with a sickness, I thought, great, here comes the fix. Oh, wow. It's in. Yeah, it's getting in. Thankfully, it was not. But I think I did text you guys early on in the game. I was like, oh, here comes the fix, because something happened positively for the Chiefs, and that might have been the only positive thing.
It was the PI, the pass interference, offensive pass interference on AJ Brown.
Yeah.
When it was a fade ball when the Eagles were on offense. But yeah, the refs weren't going to be able to save that one for Kansas City. And I mean, this is, again, I don't mean to this be the shit on the Chiefs hour, because I'm sure I know there are a lot of Chiefs fans that do listen to this. So this isn't me rejoicing in there. It's just talking about when you see something that happens and you know why it's happening, and then no one does anything about it. it blows my mind because the Chiefs
do something here.
The Chiefs are always one step ahead of the game, and they were just behind the 8 ball the entire time. Like, they never adjusted to the adjustments. And so another thing on the flip side of the ball, when the Eagles were on offense, their only goal was keep Saquon from beating us. Anybody else can beat us. Because,
they kind of did.
And they trusted that, and they did a good job of keeping Saquon in check, and they trusted that McDuffie and whoever the other corner was going to be, 35, I forget his name, that they were going to be able to man cover whoever else it was going to be. Well, in order to do that, Saquon is too good at breaking tackles in the open field. So you have to minimize his open field space. And what that means is you have to have a safety, which is Reed, that is number 20 for the Chiefs. They're moving him down into the box, so they're playing one high safety. And what they also did is they brought pressure off of the D gaps. So like outside of where the tackle or the tight ends are lined up. They brought pressure off of that, whatever side it was going to be, there was almost always a pressure off that side. But what a blitz is it's taking somebody from the back of the defense and putting them in the front of the defense. Well, what does that mean? They're no longer in the back of the defense. So they cannot be associated with pass protection, with pass defense. And but the reason why they did that is because Jalen Hurts can run. And so if you bring somebody off the backside and Saquon runs to that side, well, there's your guy, your unblocked defender is right in front of Saquon who can turn him back to help. And if the Saquon's running away, hopefully you get a contain by everybody else. And then when he tries to cut back, that unblocked defender is there to take him down in the backfield. But then the Eagles just said, okay, you're one-on-one with A.J. Brown and one-on-one with Devontae Smith. We're just going to throw it 50 times.
And Devontae Smith has torched the Chiefs in the last few games.
Yeah. And so how do you fix that? Quit bringing pressure off the D-gaps. And they never did. They just didn't. Like, they kept giving up big plays.
I feel like this is the one game like you should be making adjustments.
Yeah, I think so. And like, you know what? The game plan was to keep Saquon from beating us. We're down 24-6, whatever it was.
But keep doing what we're doing. Make it work.
You know what?
Drive.
Let's double down on it.
I had heard that that Kelsey might retire. Might be his last game.
I think he's mulling it over.
Married to the not married to, but dating the richest woman in the world.
Yeah, I mean, money-wise, not a problem. I think he has also made enough earnings. He can probably, how many commercials is Peyton Manning in now?
Yeah,
and Travis Kelce and Jason Kelsey's in a bunch of commercials, like double that for Travis.
They've also got like the best podcast, like one of the best podcasts they're doing right now too, which kind of a little behind the curtains. I'm going to reach out to both of them to try to get them on when Iowa State plays at Cincinnati this year for football.
That'd be good.
We'll see if either one of them want to join us.
It'd be big. It'd be fun. But like, I mean, he might, but also he might want to, you still have this window that I think that I don't want to say the Chiefs' window is closing because.
But this was one of his worst seasons he's had in the last few. I mean, he's still a stud. He's a Hall of Famer, and I think he still has a few more years in him. Mm-hmm. But at this point, I mean, he plays a football in and of itself is a physical sport, but he plays a real physical sport, and that he's
a tight end,
and he's either going to be knocking heads of the line or probably catching passes and getting hit.
Yeah, and so I don't know. He may or may not. I wonder if he's going to give it like one more ride of saying like, it's sort of like Jason did, where he came back, knew that was going to be his last year,
announced
and
was my last.
Was able to then kind of enjoy the last season as opposed to being like, well, this is done. So I wonder if that's going to be the case. But I wonder then with the Chiefs, how much, because I think Creed Humphrey's still on a rookie deal, their center, and I don't know if Trey Smith is, but like there are some rookie deals that are going to start coming up that you're going to have to start paying people, and they're the best at. The Eagles and the Chiefs are the best at, and the Lions now are like the best at talent assessment.
Well,
so it's not like they're going to be bad, but
and Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice are both on their rookie,
right?
And they are their next, the two best outside of Kelsey receivers. So
yeah, they're not going anywhere. But like, I wonder how much they're going to be like the dominant force when they start having to pay everybody else. And if Kelsey does say he's done, whereas does Rashee Rice become the guy that has to be the every down? Is it whatever? Mm-hmm. Brady played with 7,000 different people and still won a bazillion Super Bowls. So it's not like that.
A dog. I was surprised they gave him the nod to broadcast the Super Bowl.
Well, the contract did that.
Yeah. I was like, my wife said, "Is this Tom Brady?" I said, yeah. She goes, "Is he a good announcer?" I said, he will be. I said, he's pretty raw right now. He's obviously knows the game inside and out. But Tony Romo was also a little green when he came out. And he's great now.
The thing with Brady that he sort of did himself a disservice, though. Excellent job negotiating the money part and the status part and the term part, because he's getting paid a boatload of money, a shitload of money by Fox.
You should reach out to his agent.
I don't think he would.
No.
My contract value is probably not the same as Tom's contract value.
Has he seen our show?
I mean, hey, we got Dan McCarney on last year.
That's right.
But
Felica he's a routine guy.
yeah, and we had Matt Berry on.
Felica texted us.
He did.
He texted us during
did.
March Madness.
A couple times.
Out of the blue, yeah.
But
We're his friends.
with Brady, he started off right away in the number one spot, America's Game of the Week. No reps ever
Striking while the iron's hot.
prior to that, where everybody else is going to be the number two guy here or there. And like, I think Romo, when he started, it might have been Boomer Esiason or Phil Simms. Phil Simms was the number one CBS analyst, and Romo was their number two. So he got a couple years of being really good, and then people liked him better than they liked Phil, so they bumped him up and moved Phil to the studio show. Well, Tom was just like, go, you're the number one. And by the way, Greg Olson won an Emmy for best analyst for a sports broadcast.
Is that who he replaced?
Yeah. So you're
Didn't know
filling
that
in
one.
for Greg. You're now replacing Greg Olson. So the standard is literally winning the Emmy to your first broadcast ever. Like, eventually he'll be good. He just doesn't have any cracks, any bites of the apple other than at the top of the mountain. So like, give him 3 or 4 years. But the problem is Fox going to be okay with having an average broadcast for 3 or 4 years while Tom figures it out? I think the contract is 7 years. Like, there's a lot of...
Reach out to his agent. They need Jeff Woody in there. Give him some color.
Yeah. Fox, if you're listening.
If you need a jack wagon like Pat McAfee, but for Fox, Jeff knows a guy.
It's me. It's not Grant. Grant's not coming.
Okay.
I don't know. I just had to get the Super Bowl off my chest.
Get it off,
It made me happy just to see. Oh, there he goes. Brady signed a 10-year contract with Fox worth $375 million. So he's getting $37 million a year.
That's so stupid.
And yeah, I think, again, Tom Brady's agent, awesome. And for Tom, that's guaranteed. Like, that's locked in. So if he doesn't do a good job, tough. You got to pay him that money.
He's making almost $103 million a day.
That math doesn't check out.
What?
$103 million a day. Then there's 360 days. And it would be 300 millions. That math doesn't math.
3.75. I did the math wrong.
You did.
37,500,000 a year.
Yes. Now divide that by 52 weeks in a year.
No, divide by 365.
That's days.
Yeah.
That's 102,000.
That's what
You said 102 million.
Whatever, dude. Edit this out. He's making $103,000 a day.
Yeah. And that's if he's getting paid every day. That's not even during the season. I mean, it's stupid money. It's what the quarterbacks are making in the league, which, I mean, it's a low mid-tier quarterback. But yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was a fine broadcast. There are better people, but I don't know. The game itself, I thought it was just it scratched my itch of, why don't you just do this? And then the Eagles did, and then the Chiefs never made an adjustment to it.
I want to ask you about the halftime performance because I've heard mixed reviews, good and bad. I loved it, but we don't need that. We don't need to get into that.
I was watching it with me and my wife, and then Uncle Bill and my wife's aunt, and they're two white people in their 70s, and they were like, I like this, but I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's it falls down the line of like, are you in with the culture of 2025? If so, you liked it. If you're not, nope.
A lot of subtleties in there too, like SZA and Serena Williams used to date Drake.
Ooh.
So that's why he brought him out there.
Ooh, that was just I mean, Drake's had he's had a rough year.
He just put out a new album though.
He's had a rough year.
Yeah, still Drake though. I mean, he's still gonna produce.
He's got a university named after him.
He does.
You know who also has a university named after him?
Iowa pork producers.
Iowa Pork Producers, the Iowa State Pork Producers Association of the United States. Thank you to the Iowa Pork Producers Association. We have a new.
Did you ever play like NCAA college football, like the video game.
Yeah.
And you ever like make teams?
Yes.
I would make like a pork producers team.
What would it be like? Pink and black?
Yeah, pink, white, and black would be the colors.
Yeah, primary color pink.
Yeah, because you gotta be.
It's got to be. Yeah, it's pig themed.
And
Are actually pig mascots? I'm sure. I mean, the Razorbacks, but I'm sure there's like a default pig mascot. Can someone do that?
Yeah, but you wouldn't want. It wouldn't be like the Iowa pork pigs. Like that wouldn't be the mascot. It'd be like the Iowa pork wild hogs or something. You know?
Yeah, report producers.
There you
Wild
go.
hogs.
No, it's just the
That's the team name,
producers.
the producers.
You got to find, and you'd be a picture of a farmer, but it'd still be pink, white, and black.
But then the mascot would be a wild hog.
Someone needs to do this.
Riding in on a wild hog.
Wild Hogception.
Wild hogception?
And there's a guy, and he's wearing a logo of the team, which is a wild hog on his hat. So it's just a wild hog on a wild hog.
And instead of smoking a cig, he's smoking a fat bacon.
There you go.
Big old thick
That's a
chunk
little-
of bacon.
But I just got the Super Lotto system. So now, like I was saying, it's been 3 weeks since we've been on here. So the last time that we were on was right before the Kansas State game.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute. And I wanted to ask, because Aiden, I feel like you're involved in this too. Now, what are your expectations going forward relative to what they were like a month ago? Are they the same?
Final Four is the floor.
Has it changed? Or like what, now that they've had some losses without Milan, now that they've got him back, does it feel the same? Like what are your expectations? I think Grant first, then Aiden after that.
Final Four is the floor still for this team. When we saw that when Milan Momcilovic was out, that Heisey stepped into a position he's not comfortable with. We weren't able to space the floor as well because teams recognize that Heisey's not going to shoot. Whereas you got Milan out there, he's going to space the floor out. So we saw with Kansas State, Brandon Hauser, I think his name is, he was guarding Heisey, but I saw clips on social media that when Heisey was in the corner, his defender was basically sagging off into the lane. And so with Milan out, teams are able to clog the lane, and that's where Jiggy and Keyshawn are able to really make their hay.
And Taman.
And now that Milan's back, the teams have to respect him. I love too the very first play that Milan's back, they drew up a play for him, and
To get it back on.
just to get it back on. And he was hunting his shots, and that is where if Iowa State is going to have a very, very special year, they need him hunting his shot.
And he kind of was against Cincinnati.
Yeah. But that's what they need. And that's what TJ talked about at the beginning of the season was that he wants Milan to shoot. I can't remember the number. He said 4 to 6 threes a game or something like that. He's like, if we're going to be at our best, we need him hunting shots. That and Brant and Deshaun down low, they have had 2 of their better games these last 2 games. I got to see some blood. I still got to see some blood, Jeff, whether that's from Brant or Deshaun.
Did Jefferson have a big old shiner on his cheek in the Cincinnati game?
I don't want to see blood from Jefferson. Okay, we got to keep Joshua pretty. Got to keep him out there. That's my guy. Got to see blood from Brant. And Brant's got to keep the goatee, too. So he shaved off his goatee and had just a shit game. He needs to keep the goatee. I got to see some blood from him or Deshaun.
Gaden,
What'd you call him?
I was grabbing my throat.
He just called you Gaden.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Aiden, as if I had on my neck as I was kind of scratching my chin.
Talking Jesus. Bonk the Jeff, Cam. Very good. Expectation wise, I think the expectation was to finish top 2 in the conference. I don't know the likelihood of that right now, but you can't deny that without Milan, it was pretty tough to do anything on offense. But in terms of the NCAA tournament, which Big 12, I think you've finished top 4, gets a double bye. If you have to play on day 2, they're not going to play on day 1. But if you have to play on day 2, that kind of sucks. So finish top 4 in the Big 12, I think is still in play for sure. And then NCAA tournament wise, I think if they play well and get a good draw, I think Final Four is definitely still on the table. Just have to clean up turnovers. But.
Yeah, and I feel like that's sort of my thought too. Like the first game or 2, because this has been Milan's 3rd game back, I think, was the Cincinnati game.
Yes.
Because they beat the hell out of TCU.
Yeah, that was his first game back.
And then
who was the midweek game? UCF.
UCF. And that one was sloppy-ish kind of. I mean, it's
I
at
will say
UCF.
that. I will say that Iowa State, if they're going to reach their fullest potential, not only need Milan to hunt shot, they got to clean up the turnovers.
Yeah, that was
Too sloppy with it.
that feels like the thing that is
Unforced too. Like they're careless.
the potential undoing. But back to your point, so my feeling is about the same, and it's less of this team is infallible and more, here's what the mistakes are. Here's how to beat Iowa State. You know, like in baseball, if for the first month of the season, you're just raking, and then the next month or two of the season, teams figured out that if they throw inside fastballs and they can get them by you, well, you now know teams are going to attack you with an inside fastball. Fix that. Hit the inside fastball, and now they can't do whatever thing they want to. So in basketball, now that teams, well, with Milan on the floor, Iowa State's lost one game. But
They're 17-1 with him. They're 3-4 without him.
so there's at
And
least
their one loss is to the number one team in the country,
by a last second shot.
like the 5th game of the year. Yep.
Yeah. So they're really good with Milan on the floor, but there are turnovers. You see how teams are now going to attack you. And Cincinnati, they wanted to play a bloody nose style game like you did, and Iowa State was just better at it. But imagine if that team that you're playing is Tennessee and not Cincinnati, and they've got scoring at all 5 positions. It's not just Jizzle James and Day Thomas. What if that's the case? And now your 12 or 13 turnovers, they turn into 18, 20 points. Well, that's way different. And it feels like that's with Milan being out and him coming back. He's been much more aggressive in the 3 games that he's been back than he was in most of the games prior, because he got to see the 7 games. Like, hey, Milan, when you're out there and you're not an active participant in this offense, this is what it looks like.
Yep.
We need you to be you. And that illustration of what it looks like to not do it makes it easier to see what it looks like when you do it. And it feels like the turnovers are sort of a thing that you've got film on it, and you were able to escape Cincinnati with a win, even though there was bad dribble it off your foot, lose. I mean, I think there was one where it was almost a turnover. I think he got a foul, but like Keyshawn trying to dribble it behind his back just to keep a defender away from him because they're putting a lot of ball pressure on him. He just lost the dribble, almost got a turnover and a run out. Like Zakai Ziegler or whatever it is, the guy at Tennessee, that's a run out. Like he's just Taman, but shorter, plays for Tennessee. Like that's the type of team you're going to have to beat to get to where you want to go. So having this show up now is really good, in my opinion, for later. So it's not saying this team is unbeatable and everything's going to go great. Like when they were just kicking the shit out of teams in November and December, it's awesome. It's fun. But when you face the type of thing that's that inside fastball, what are you not good at? Really extreme ball pressure. Is they're going to make all 3 guards handle the ball. Every pass that goes from a guard to a big, whether it's entry pass or out on the perimeter, every one of those is going to be contested. And that's how you beat Iowa State. What are you going to do about it?
I think too, the teams that Iowa State will struggle with, not just the regular season, but the rest of the season, are teams that, yes, can turn them over and turn those into points, but also who are good 3-point shooting teams. Those are the teams that Iowa State has struggled with.
Because they can get him in rotation, find that backside.
Yeah, and the defense hasn't been like as good this year as it has been. It's still good, but it's not like that. The TJ type teams we're used to, which is fine. I'd rather see more scoring than just defense. But I feel like this team's kind of a balance between a Hoiberg-Hoiberg team and like TJ's first few years, where it's just like you're scoring in the 40s, but you're keeping teams to the 30s. But I think that's the 2 things that if anything is going to derail Iowa State, it's going to be teams who are just making them turn over like crazy and who are knocking down threes. And if Iowa State's not knocking down any threes.
And it feels like that team, the best test of what that team looks like, Saturday. They play Houston at Houston on Saturday.
Houston will turn them over. They turn up the defense. I don't know how good they are on 3-point shooting, though.
I think LJ Cryer
yes,
is really good.
I watched a little bit of the Houston Arizona game, and they had dogs. Like, because Uzan came from Oklahoma, and then Cryer this is his 2nd or 3rd year at Baylor or at Houston. He came from Baylor though. He was a dog too. Then they got
is it Roberts?
Roberts, who's I was a big fan of his.
Yeah,
and then Sharp too. Sharp had a good
Sharp is
couple games last year against us.
He's their shooter, the Sharp shooter. I mean, obvious, but you have Sharp, you got Cryer, you got Uzan. All those guys can shoot threes, and you have you have offensive threats on the inside. That's the type of team, if Iowa State's going to struggle, that's the type of team that Iowa State's going to struggle with, because they're also going to put a ton of ball pressure on you.
Roberts plays the way that I would love to see Deshaun play. He's going in for a rebound, just full bore. He's going to get blood. We're going to see blood. If there's going to be a team in white jerseys on Saturday, there's going to be blood on that jersey.
So it's fun. I think, yeah, now that you've got enough data points to say, like, what is this team's kryptonite? What is this team's that inside fast? What are the things? What are teams going to do to you? And it's not the same as it has been in years past, where it's the 2 times through the Big 12 where you get to see, Kansas at Fogg, you get to see Kansas at Hilton, you get to see, TCU in Fort Worth, you get to see TCU up here. And that second time through, it's now the adjustments to the adjustments. You've seen it all. But it's still really good teams in the Big 12 that you're watching film of them, and now they're watching film of you, and it's able to build on your mistakes and learn how teams are attacking you. I'm interested to see, especially how Saturday goes.
The cream is rising to the top, though. Early on in the Big 12 season, people were saying, valid point too, that SEC is better than the Big 12, and it still may be, but there are 4 or 5 teams in the Big 12 that have really separated themselves, that are legit potential Elite 8, Final Four, maybe national title contenders. One thing I will say too is that the thing that's really working for this year's Iowa State team is that when people are aggressive, they're overly aggressive and they're fouling them, this team is knocking down free throws, which has hindered Iowa State teams early on in the TJ era, where they just haven't been good free throw shooting teams. This year we are seeing good free throw shooters, and we can have our starting lineup. 4 of those 5 guys, I feel confident going up there and knocking down the free throws. Deshaun had a good free throw game last game, but he's kind of hit or miss. I almost want Joshua Jefferson on the line more than anybody else on our team.
Other than Jiggy.
I always want the ball in Jiggy's hand, yeah.
Jiggy feels like the guy. I mean, he's your technical free throw shooter.
Yep.
But another thing that's kind of nice about this is Curtis Jones had to deal with being the number 1 offensive threat. And now being, and when Milan wasn't there, you were talking about how the lane guys would sag. The other thing they did is they just
go.
They would deny
in his shorts,
deny Curtis Jones everything.
Yeah.
You can't shoot. Anybody else can shoot.
And if they're pressuring him on top and he gets around them, there's that guy sagging off of Heisey who's there to pick up the help defense, which we weren't able to get in the lane.
Yeah, and so you can't shoot. Well, being the offensive threat, he was unbelievable for a little bit until people figured that out. Well, he's used to now having both good and bad offensive games. Now, it's not like he's a guy that's a prima donna that would needs his shots or whatever. He'd be fine if he scored 0 points. But being used to what the defense is going to give you, whether you are on fire or whether you're not, you know what it's going to feel like, because when Milan's on the floor, then you're one of the threats. When Milan's off the floor, you're the threat. But you've got both of those, and those 2 things are going to happen in the game, the same game.
To that point, I wish that early on in the game, they would run a set, like find wherever Heisey is most comfortable shooting a 3, where he's most confident shooting a 3, run a play for him early in the game. So 1, he gets a shot up. 2, if it goes down, he has confidence, and then his defender knows, I got to guard this guy. But to me, it's important to do that early in the game. And 1 possession, you can afford 1 possession. You can have a turnover in a possession, or you can have a missed shot. The result's still the same. For me, I would like to see the team run a play for Heisey, get to a spot where he's comfortable, and get some confidence early, and let his defender know, this guy can shoot. Because he had a great game versus UCF. I
agree. Yeah, and if he can do that, that's another one of those like X Factory type things.
Yes.
Where
if you can get 8 points from him, that's...
And if he's 2 of 4 from 3 and has 2 free throws, and like that's his game. He scored
4 rebounds and an assist.
Yeah, like that. If that's a Nate Heisey game, like that makes everything else substantially easier, because the big thing that this team has run into is when there's no lane access somehow, whether that's Heisey's defender sagging off or guys not making shots, or you're trying to force something in there and you don't have any way to get him out of the lane. Well, there's no other offense, because Keyshawn's a good shooter, but he's not a great shooter. He's a great driver. Well, you can't drive through like a brick wall, and there's 6 dudes in the lane because they're all playing off of everybody else. Well, tough. Well, there's Keyshawn's gone, and now you're in Jones' jockstrap, and now Taman is the only other kind of shooter where every once in a while, if he's not hitting, then you got nothing else. So if you can have Jefferson shooting threes at a reasonable clip, and if you can have Heisey shooting threes at a reasonable clip, this team goes back to that. Like, I don't know how you stop them if one or both of those guys are shooting well.
One thing I'll say too is watch Chatfield when a guy drives, if he's down in the lane, he does such a good job of sealing off his defender and basically giving you're a semi driving down an interstate with no cars on it. He gives you a wide open lane to the basket, and it's such an underrated, underappreciated, I think, part of the game that might go unnoticed. But keep an eye on him when he's out there. And if someone drives the lane, he does a really good job of sealing off his guy.
Is he just Bob Jones but better?
Maybe, yeah.
I feel like he's the Bob Jones guy, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's what Bob Jones would do. He's just bigger than Bob.
He's a better finisher than Bob.
Yeah, but I mean, Bob was just a couple inches shorter, you know? And Bob was only 6'. I think Bob was only 6'8". Only. I mean, he's still a pretty tall guy.
I can't do these accents. You don't sound like a dingus when you do that accent.
No, that's not. The other accent you can do. Well, it's been a minute. It's been a hot second. But the Aer Lingus College Football Classic, that's the next time you're going to be able to see the Iowa State football program playing the football. Not Gaelic football. No. They're going to be playing Iowa football against the Kansas State Wildcats in Dublin. The Aer Lingus College Football Classic. You don't be a dingus. Book with Aer Lingus College Football Classic.
I just can't get over Iowa State, this picture having a black face mask for Iowa State.
You think?
Or very dark red. That's not either way, it's not the...
Are they going to wear blacks, you think? Who's the home team?
I think Kansas State is. I think they had to give up... Aiden, you might know. Yeah, Kansas State is.
Yeah, K-State is.
Yeah, they had to give up a home game.
So they get to wear purple?
Yeah.
So Iowa State will be wearing white and something.
I think Iowa State should wear... Oh, stick with me here, Jeff. They should get like a shimmery, like a red, like a shimmery metallic. Is they should go white with metallic and just kind of be funky, man. Don't just wear something we can wear in Ames. You're in freaking Ireland. Wear something fun.
Do you think they'll have they could do like green lining? You know, it's not.
No, I wouldn't go that far. No. I think I would like to see Iowa State wear Iowa State colors, but just do something fun with it, you know?
Didn't they have red chrome helmets they wore a couple times?
Oh, those are sick. Yeah, the best helmets they ever wore were...
the Bugle.
No, those are the worst. They wore at Akron in 2017.
I fully agree. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Try to pull a picture of that.
It was the shiny chrome red helmet with chrome red face mask, right?
Yeah, and
no, it was white.
It was white with
chrome stencil I State.
Chrome stencil I State, and then I think it came to a point. I think there was a point on the stripe. That is the best uniform, in my opinion, that Iowa State has worn since Campbell has been.
I like these new. I mean, the new ones. They're more like that have the smaller shoulder stripe. The ones they just wore last year.
Yeah, they're clean.
I like those.
Those are clean.
Because no one else has that. Versus like the old ones, they're still like a bit USC inspired.
Yeah. Well,
there you go.
But the stripe on the top, I think it came to a point. I don't think it was just two stripes going back. But
wear that helmet with the new white jerseys, but make them kind of like an iridescent white or iridescent red.
Yeah, that stencil though that's the best helmet that we've worn. Add that to the jerseys now, the uniforms they have now. Chef's kiss.
That's I co-sign this. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. I know Mauser listens, so
hey,
Taylor, yeah,
wear those. Put in a word with Matt. I know Matt probably doesn't listen to.
If you don't, you're gonna see a streaker on the field. That streaker with me, and he'll be in the press box.
Ooh,
I'll find someone to headlock. Dean will be in the press box too.
That'd be hard.
I'll put someone in a headlock. Maybe I'll just the ref, just a DD.
Tyler Miller?
Oh.
Got to jump on his back like a spider monkey?
He'd flick me off, yeah.
He's 6'9", 330. Big human.
Yeah, I'll just RKO, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll RKO a ref, just let my dinghy, my dinghy fly around and RKO a ref.
Lend your dinghy, fly out in the street. You'd be a dingus. A dingy dingus.
Get that Irish air in my Irish dinghy. There we go.
I feel like I caught up at least a little bit, but I think you had a Grant Scripes.
Dude, I did, but thankfully they have kind of righted the ship. So
an ungripe. They've corrected the gripe before you can gripe the gripe.
I griped out loud while I was there, and they must have heard me because they've corrected things. So I was at the Iowa State women's TCU game. It was a good game. I went there with my wife and my mother-in-law, and neither one of them are very big basketball fans. And they leaned over me and they said, "Hey, why why are only these two girls shooting the ball? Like does the rest of the team stink? And I'm like, no, damn it. Like this team was built with 3-point shooters galore. It was built to have Audie down low when she attracts double teams, kick it out, and have Jones or Ariana Jackson
or Ryan or somebody
or Hansford or Ryan, someone else shooting a three. And in the TCU game, they did not do that. So they attempted 51 shots between Audie and Addie. They themselves put up 42 of the 51 shots between the two of them. Is my math right? 36, 42. Yeah. So 9 other shots went elsewhere. I was out getting my wife a clone cone just before halftime, and she texted me and she goes, I knew you could do it. 23. I knew 23 could do it. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. She goes, oh, 23 just hit a 3-pointer before the halftime. I was like, yeah, Kelsey Jones. I said, yeah, great. She should be shooting. So that's my gripe, is that we've seen it in big games this year that when Iowa State was playing Iowa State girls had that game in the bag, but it was like the game plan was force it to Audie. You have to dribble to this spot, and then you have to force it into Audie. And if it's not there, don't force it. And for me, my gripe is this team is so good. Audie and Addie, they're potential All-Americans. They're all Big 12 caliber for sure. But this team is built to have other girls they attract those, Audie and Addie attract defenders and dish it to other girls around the lane. They have sense.
Because they played Kansas. And Aiden, how many would they hit against Kansas?
18.
They hit 18 threes.
Yes. So since the TCU game, they lost that game by 13, but it was a closer game than that. They beat Cincinnati by 20. They beat Colorado by 30. They beat Kansas by 13. And so they are dispersing the ball more. And I'm not stupid. I know that Audie and Addie are going to get most of the shots. However, versus Kansas, they had 56 attempts. Audie only had 14. Addie had 9. Emily Ryan had 13. She went 6 for 10 from 3, and she had 20 points. Sydney Harris, 6 of 10. 5 of 9 from 3, 17 points. It's like this team has shooters. Be a team, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to take anything away from Audie and Addie. They are studs. You don't need to force it. If it's not there, don't force it. Kick it out. You got studs around you. I think when they do, they're winning by 20.
Yeah, and it feels like that's the same thing. It's that inside fastball. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to deny. Teams are going to deny. They're going to hound every entry pass to Audie Crooks. And if you get one in there, she's going to score.
But don't force it.
But don't force it. And now being able to see that those shots can go down over the last 3 games, hopefully that's the adjustment. Fenn has been around for so many years that he knows how to make adjustments. We're not saying anything that he doesn't know or the staff doesn't know. It's getting all the athletes to actually believe that that's the thing that you can do, that it's not being careless with the ball. It's actually being better with the ball. If you don't force an entry pass, you find somebody that's open, or dribble drive to potentially draw whoever the double teaming defender is off of Audie, then you can dump one off, and now she's got a better look.
Not even just that, though, but if Audie's defender is playing over top of her, so if the defender is like on the free throw side and denying the pass, the only way we can get down is to go baseline, you can swing that around and Audie can seal her off, and then now from the opposite side, she has her on her backside. So you can swing the ball around and basically reverse your play that you had called, and now Audie has
great post position.
Yeah, she has better post position and an easier pass. And it feels like sometimes they don't see that and they force it, and it either doesn't get to her, it's a turnover, or it goes up and she gets fouled, or it's forced up and it's a miss, or it's blocked. And it's just, my big thing is stop forcing it, just play ball.
Yeah, and hopefully and the other thing about this women's team too that we've people mention, but sometimes you forget about, so young.
Yeah.
Crooks, sophomore. Brown, sophomore. Jones, sophomore. Jackson, sophomore. And then Ryan is your experience there. And then you have transfer freshman, right? Like that's basically your lineup. It's a young team. Like they're adjusting to the pressure of what they're going to be dealing with. That's a lot different than in practice or in theory actually doing it.
And I think they won the Big 12 tournament last year. They're ahead this year than they were last year.
As far as wins and records, or wins and losses?
Yes.
So it is, especially if they play like they have the last 3 games. They understand shooters. They understand entry passes a lot better. This is not the season's over.
Well, I think some fans feel like the season might have been over because they had a hard schedule. I mean, Iowa's a good team, should have beat them. South Carolina may win the national championship.
They got the brakes beat off them by UConn.
UConn may win the national championship. So they have played.
They played 3 of the Final 4 teams from last year.
Yes, and UConn and South Carolina will be in the Final 4 again this year
for sure. So yeah, I'm excited to see. It's the same thing. It's the exact same conversation we were having with the men. It's just the women weren't able to get wins while they learned those lessons. They were getting losses to learn those lessons versus the men. Like against Cincinnati, they had 16 turnovers, but they got a win. But it's not good enough. Like you need to improve. You can't play like that and expect to win in March. Well, they still got the win. The women, you can't have 2 of your players shoot 90% of your shots and expect to win in March. Well, what's the lesson that you can learn from it is take that and become better by the time you get to the end of the season. And then hopefully in March and hopefully April, you become the best version of the team that you're going to be. Not play, no team is going to win every game throughout the regular season. But if you can be really, really good in March, that's what matters.
The girls need to be the Eagles and not the Chiefs of, well, we're not going to adjust. We're just going to force, do what we're doing. They need to be the Eagles.
Yeah, be the Eagles.
But it is, I mean, obviously you don't want to take any losses, but it is good that they got those losses out of the way so you can see the glaring deficiencies. And
what is the inside fastball?
The talent gap, to be honest. I mean, they're not at the level that UConn and South Carolina are, but crazy things have happened in March. Learn from those games, learn from the 20, 30 games you played up until that point. If they play them again in March, and correct it.
I guess where the talent, though, if the 3-point shooters are hitting at the rate that they are capable of hitting, if the non-Addy, Audie contingent, everybody else,
yes,
if they're hitting at 40%, just collectively, the Audie and Addy are talent for talent, even with anybody.
Yes.
So they're not talent deficient. And if the shooters are shooting really well, it becomes sort of like one of those mid-majors that just makes a run. It doesn't happen as much in women's basketball as it does in men's, but like they're one of the potential, like a mid-major that just gets to the, Elite Eight. It's like Loyola of, Sister Mary or whatever it was.
UMKC, yeah.
Like that type of team
UMBC.
That when you can shoot like crazy and you have enough talent at certain positions that you can match up 1-for-1, like if Audie is matched up against somebody who doesn't have as much strength as she does, she can push them around. But you need shooters to be able to do that. And if the shooters are shooting, then she's one-on-one with whoever she's going to be one-on-one with, and she's winning that matchup unless it's Cameron Brink. So like this team, they might not be like 1 through 9 talent-wise, even with the UConns and the South Carolinas and whatever, but they're 1, 2, and 3 between Addie, Audie, and Emily. That's still talent for talent up there. And if the 3-point shooters and the entry passes and access, if they can do that as well, you don't need to be like super talent for talent. Let the 2 dominant players be dominant and just be what you are and not try and be something you're not.
Yep. No, I agree. And I think that'll carry this team far. Just don't force it.
Don't force it.
Trust your teammates.
Just be the best version of yourself.
That's all I'll say. So
that's all I'll say.
You have anything else to say before I wrap this up?
No.
I was just going to say that the Big 12 men's basketball is really getting down to the wire and it's fun. Houston's got a big lead, but they have tough games coming up. They are, where do we say they are tomorrow? At Arizona State? No, that's Kansas State.
Yeah, their schedule.
Oh, yeah.
Houston's schedule, I'll read it off, is they play at Arizona State tomorrow. Same time Iowa State's going to be playing
Colorado.
So at Arizona State on Tuesday, host Iowa State. Game day will also be there in Houston. Then at Texas Tech, which is a really tough place to play, on Monday. So they got to go Tuesday, Saturday, Monday. They play 3 games in a week. At home against Iowa State, 48 hours later, playing Texas Tech in Lubbock, and then you're at home against Cincinnati, at home against Kansas, and then at Baylor.
Yeah, and Kansas stinks on the road. Baylor is a wild card, but I mean, Houston pretty much has the Big 12 locked up, but if they lose to Iowa State, Texas Tech, and Baylor, that would be best case scenario. I don't see it happening, but
who knows?
Yeah,
and there's only one matchup between the 2 of them.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're going to split those. So if Iowa State beats Houston, you'd obviously need some help, but winning at Texas Tech is going to be tough.
Yeah.
And then you need Kansas or Baylor. I mean, hell, maybe Cincinnati comes out and plays really well. But you need somebody else to be that additional loss, and that would theoretically be the head-to-head. But really, I mean, that's the
Hold on, Aiden, pull that back up for a second. Look at that. So they are at Arizona State. Tickets as low as $4, and then Iowa State comes to town. Tickets as low as $146. What are we doing in Tempe?
I mean,
Please clap. Please attend the games.
they have won 3 games in the Big 12.
They're good. I mean, they're better than that though. They're better than just 3 wins. Colorado, I'm surprised by that too. And we kind of talked about that before, that they have only had like one like blowout. They're better than their 1 and whatever record in the Big 12. With that being said, I still expect Iowa State to win like 86-70 tomorrow.
I like it.
Yeah. So, one last thing. Aiden kind of talked about, where his thoughts were with the men's team. What I want is they're already in the tournament, and we saw last year that the Big 12 tournament, the results do not matter. Iowa State beat Houston by 400 points, and they did not move from that 1 line, did not move from the 2 line, whatever it was. I would like Iowa State to get the double bye, so then they're one of the final 8, final 4 teams, whatever, and then lose. The Big 12 doesn't matter. Just lose, get to March healthy, rest up, and then go make a run. That's what I want.
See if Taman can have 10 functioning fingers.
Dude, it may not really matter. It looks like he's really focusing more on the shot now that he's got a broken thumb.
Honestly, I think you shoot for 8 functioning fingers with Taman.
if you have one
If you
of
have
your
8, I think you're chilling.
one of your 2 shoulders that work, you have. Let's just lower the bar even further. Most of your fingers. Let's just go with most.
Yep.
Like greater than 50% of your functioning
Super
fingers.
majority of your fingers.
2 eyes. He needs both of his eyes working.
Yeah. Just hopefully ankles, knees, hips. We got. Let's just call it 80% of those joints collectively. At least one of the 2 shoulders, and super majority of fingers.
That's what I'm saying though. Like just like give these guys like, play 1 game in like a 10-day period. Just let them rest.
But if Iowa State can, run the table, which would be great. I don't expect it to happen, but if they could, and Houston does, they would naturally have. Iowa State would have beaten Houston if Iowa State runs the table, and winning. If Texas Tech beats them, they're only 1 game back. Somebody else wins. Arizona has to go through.
Houston's been like they almost lost to UCF.
They almost should have lost to Kansas.
Yeah, they should
twice,
and then they should have lost to. They could have lost to Arizona. They were down most. It's like they're not unbeatable.
That freaking 3/4 court shot,
bro.
That freaking shot.
And then you see whatever game it was, the same thing, and he hits it off like the top.
K-State game.
Yeah,
they had the exact same.
And then he hits
scenario.
And then he like launches it in like the 4th row, like 15 feet over the bat. You see it?
No.
Oh, Caleb Love again, and of course Fran was on the game again. We've seen this before.
Yep.
He launches it in like the 4th row behind the basket. Dude, why can't you do that versus us?
Well, even just like 4 more inches to the left. I don't know.
Half an inch to the left.
Yeah, anything, because that thing rattled down. That freaking shot.
Yep.
If that costs a 1 seed, that'd be stupid. That's the same. We'll be back with a more frequent than
we're getting
3 weeks. I was out of town. It's on me.
Lined up.
That's on me.
Yeah, it is.
That's on me. I accept responsibility. I'm working to become a better version of myself.
The reality of it is. Thank you to all of our loyal listeners who are still listening. And as always, remember, adopt, don't shop.